Now, watching this, I just think all the time about what it was like growing up then and how everyone was just, all the kids were just free range, just send them out of the house,
completely,
do whatever. And I wonder sometimes whether you ever feel like you have to explain any of this to the audience, or it's just, if you put it out there, they'll understand, was this really like that?
Yeah, I think that we always felt from the beginning like it was just put it out there, and we try not to do too many kind of like ironic from today's point of view jokes.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like for instance, like one of the very first scene of the very first episode is when they're having dinner and the phone rings, and you don't know who it is because it's before caller ID, and so it's like, should you pick up or not? Maybe it's important, and Frank is like, it's probably some guy trying to sell something. And that happened all the time at our house because it was always at dinner time, because that's when telemarketers would call. And so, the archway would have been for Frank to say, it's not like there's some giant, there's no machine that tells us who's calling. That would be the super archway to do it. And we never did that. So we just sort of presented it the way it is. And if people were alive then, remember it, then they remember it. If they didn't, then sometimes they think that it's impossible. When we first pitched this around a little bit, there was a younger guy at one of the networks we talked to, and there's a little bit in the very first season, there's a little bit more in this season about, I grew up in central New Jersey, where during the summertime they'd bring these mosquito trucks around that would blow out like DDT, and we as kids, that was like a magical thing, and the mosquito truck was coming. You'd hear it from like 3 blocks away, going like, the mosquito truck is here, and we would literally all go out and walk behind it, like, oh, this is so fun, and we were like billowing smoke in our faces, and so we pitched that, and this guy was like a 26-year-old executive. He's like, nah, no one's going to believe that. No one is going to believe that.
We used to ride our bikes behind it.
It's true.
So for part of that reason, we had talked about it a little bit with some companies, and then we wrote the script, and we basically wound up speccing it for all intention to get it done, because Bill had been through the development process, and as he said, a lot of stuff got neutered down, and a lot of his comedy did. So it was a little more of, hey, this is what we want to do, and then to find the right partner, and then we found Netflix, and they totally got it. Saw it instantly, and as Bill said, if anything says go further, go deeper, go more, with kind of the dark sensibility, the profanity.
What a dream note.
Everything. They're extremely supportive of the show.
There was an episode in the first season set on Halloween where Bill is in his pickle costume, and Jimmy the bully beats him up for what he'd warned him not to go out in costume or I'll beat you up. So in the original script, it was Jimmy and like one friend beating the hell out of him, and we got back from Netflix. It was like, make it more kids beating Bill. Like really just have them wail on him and like destroy him. So that's what happens.
Wrestling moves.
Yeah, he's doing like pile drivers, like Haystacks Calhoun style pile drivers. And so that was great. Yeah.
And that was based on like, those are those types of things. Like that first episode when Bill's up in the tree and those kids come by and just start throwing rocks at him. That like happened to me and a friend of mine. Like people didn't throw fireworks. That's, we ramped it up for the show, but we just were climbing up a tree because that's what you did back then. There was no iPads or anything. We're like, hey, let's just go climb 40 feet in the air. And so we climbed up, and these bigger kids came by, and they just saw us up there, and they just threw rocks at us for like a half hour until their arms were tired. We were up there like, crying and stuff. And then they just went away, and we kind of stopped crying, and we just sort of climbed down. And that was just it. And it was just kind of like, there was no... Yeah, like when bigger kids came along, you hid. Like you tried to hide from them. And and you just sort of, they just, I don't know, all the parents from the neighborhood when I grew up, it's just like, all right, get out of here, get out of the house. You just, you got on your bicycle, you just drove away. Like I can't imagine letting my daughter ever do that, but they used to just, get out of here.
And we all had little like calls, like you said, you had like a dinner bell.
Dinner bell,
thing, right?
like cattle.
Yeah, we had that. In my neighborhood, we had that. Or like there was a guy named Stephen Fissner, and the father would just go, Steven! That's how we knew it was time to come home. It would reach like 20 blocks away.
Now, the night the big kids threw rocks at you and you come home, like, what is your mom's reaction? Did you even tell her that it had happened?
My mother, I'm one of 6, so my mother told me one time, she goes, I don't even remember my 30s. So I don't think, so if I told her, I'm sure she'd quickly forget. We were all like 2 years apart. I don't know how, that's why she was, just get out of here, just so I can lay down. And she was going to school nights, and she was like They don't make them like that anymore, right? So she, I don't remember. Yeah, she just would like. I told that story that she went for my birthday. My parents bought me a cowboy outfit when that was still politically okay. It was like they were considered heroes still, and so I had like the hat, the bandana, the whole stupid outfit, the guns and like the little plastic guns, and like she sent me outside dressed like that. It was so irresponsible. Like I don't even think I made it to the end of my driveway. These kids just descended on me and they smashed the guns and all that. I just went inside. Yeah, I became the crying cowboy, and I went back inside. And I just remember I went back inside, and she kind of woke up from the nap. She goes, "What happened to your guns?" I was like, "Big kids did it." And she just sat me down and she made me a sandwich, and that was it. So that right there, though, where you're like, oh, like those are the moments that I like try to have in the show with all the ridiculousness, is that moment where your mom makes you a sandwich after the big kids broke your toys, and that weirdness, like there was no resolution. Yeah. There was that. There was just, a lot of vandalism, just throwing rocks in people's pools and shit. It was stupid, suburban stuff.
We used to throw like dummies. We'd fill dummies with leaves and like throw them onto the road in front of cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Block the street with the trash cans right around a turn to watch the guy. We did all of that dumb shit. And there was like no. I remember one time there was this lady. She parked her car across the street. Somebody dared me to take a rotten apple and like put it in like the tailpipe. So I did it, and then it just kept escalating. And then they were in her car, and then we wanted to see her reaction. And like idiots, we went across the street. It was the fall. There was like no leaves in the tree, and like 5 of us were just up there in the trees looking at us. Instantly busted. So when we're in the writer's room, we just kind of sit around and we like tell stories.
Yeah.
Like that, some a little more twisted or whatever when we're talking about like adults, and that's kind of that'll like make a new character or maybe like a storyline, just stuff like that.